Anti-Society, welcome back to the Anti-Social Planet. Today we are checking out Mushi-shi episode 8, and I'm pretty excited about this because I feel like we just keep building and building on a bunch of this lore, and I just find it really interesting, each of these kind of mini character studies that we get for each of the episodes. And in the last episode, dealing with this like rainbow that was also a mushi, but it was like this natural force, and the power that we can get from what mushi are is just like a really interesting idea to me. Like, there have been so many moments of us trying to counter some of mushi's natural inclinations and coming face to face with some mushi where it's like they're just forces of nature, and what can you do in the face of forces of nature, and how do you like find your purpose. But it also makes me feel like Ginkgo has some stuff in his backstory, and I don't know if we're going to get to any of that. I'm just intrigued by the idea of what is he like moving for, right? What is he traveling for? What motivates him besides just like interest in mushi and like the discovery of them? So I'm interested to see if we ever get to some of that. In 3, 2, 1, go. I'm interested to see where we go with this. This one's called Where Sea Meets Man, which I think is interesting. We've had lots of water imagery with Mushi, which I also think is quite interesting. Like from the like traveling swamp or like marsh to the like rain and like rainbow, even like flowers, right? Is like flowers take water as like a way of sustaining themselves. So I think it's interesting to have so much water imagery wrapped up with Mushi. Makes sense because water is like a basic element. But it's just interesting to see it associated with water more than others. I guess like flowers is also like plant life and like earth, but it's just a little bit less, I guess. I don't know, there's like a creepy factor to like some of the early episodes. So it's kind of interesting to associate with them with now it's more like water imagery, which is more like serene sometimes. But I mean, it makes sense. I mean, if it's based in Japan, Japan is also an island. There's quite a bit of water. What is that from? Discarded from something. True. Also, shorelines are liminal space, which I think is interesting. Deep sea fishes. Oof. The morbidity of like people, but interesting to have a shoreline. Because like I said, shorelines are like liminal, right? They're like these crossing over points and a lot of mythology between like our world and another one. Just casually walking through. No reaction? Are you whispering about him? Just passing through again? I love how much time we spent on that shot of just like leaving that space empty to have the gag of him walking back. Did you get trapped on an island again? What are you waiting for? Oh. Why are we seeing the lighthouse in the back? Usually they don't add stuff into the background unless we need to know about it. It's pretty like more scenic than having like structures, but And now we're like zooming in on it. Seems more bright and uplifting. So there's some infighting happening. It's interesting to have this after the last episode where it was about like inheriting from your parents and all of that. Ugh. I don't know if that was the right words to be saying, my guy. I mean, the fact that they're like not even in the same boat, literally, right? Like you say, like, oh, we're in the same boat. I know it's like an English phrase, but it means like you're both on like you both in agreement, right? Like you're both going through the same experience and can empathize with each other. Whereas like this are like they're literally in separate vessels, even though they're going in like the same direction. Oof. Water snakes freak me out. Childhood trauma, you know what I mean? Don't trust the mist. I feel like y'all passed into something else. We've crossed a threshold. No, this seems like a bad idea. I feel like you want to stay in the boat when you're crossing over a threshold. I was gonna say, she sounded very calm, all things considered. And we got to hear some panic. Ooh. Oh, I do not like that. Freaks me out. Oh, so is that what we're waiting to see what washes up on shore? Ooh, I love that image of like his cigarette being left while he's listening. So we're waiting. Yeah, like the closure of it. You got some ideas, boy? Yeah, it might be time to move on. Could have been like a little less blunt about it though. Okay, at least we're acknowledging it. At least we're acknowledging like, I could have said that nicer. Beautiful framing of that shot. But we're intrigued. Mm-hmm. This always happens. Here's a story and he's like, not interested, but like, he can't shake it off, right? He can't get out of his head. Just negotiating. Cute. I mean, he does have that loner energy, but maybe start worrying about yourself, right? Like Ginkgo said, of you spend so much time looking out at the water that you're forgetting about like the shore, like, right? Like the land if you turned around. Having a life again. We're like too early in the episode though for me to get comfortable. Something's gonna happen. Ooh, there's something in the water though. Like I said, too early in the episode for him to not for him to like settle into a nice new life, right? Mm-hmm. Water not behaving the way that it's supposed to, but it usually does. You seem upset about that now. We were all happy before. Can't let it go. He needs the closure though. I feel like that's ominous. To be like, I'm not going anywhere. Are you sure about that? Mm-hmm. Oh, repeat. Boats come back. Are we gonna get some proof then, maybe? Are we gonna see the boat again? Seems like a bad idea. Yep. Also couldn't get over it, right? I think it's interesting to have them both be kind of stuck on this, even though they could just leave it alone, right? It might be better if they left it alone, but neither of them can truly like leave it. What happened to the other guy who was on the boat? The swarms freaks me out. Ooh, seems very unsettling to have like these two swarms like meeting in the middle. Like I'm saying, like this liminal space of shore. I mean, I was wondering about that. Like, what happened to the other sailors? Oy. A little smile. But that means that like he has a reason to see the shore, right? He has a reason to want to come back. She's like, I'll come and watch then. It's sad though to have like a fight and then have this realization of maybe she didn't want to come back and that's why she hasn't. Beautiful animation on like the close up of like his eyes though. Brave to want to experience it again though. Like I'd be like, nope. I'd be deeply afraid of the sea after that. Yeah, you said swarm. There were little waves of them. Is it the boat? Or is she like adrift in the fog? Oh, beautiful shot of the two boats. Will you be fine? It's been 3 years. I was gonna say, is it a body? We gonna give her a reason to want to go back to shore? Perhaps? I was gonna say, if it's a body, who put the blanket over her? Yeah, I was like, no one was expecting that apparently. Ooh. Been a little bit longer than that. Ooh, the line up the tears with the like bead of sweat. What is going on? I want to believe it's her and that it's okay, but I'm also like on edge. If like Ginkgo's like, I don't understand what's happening. Get some closure at least. Yeah. Yeah. Wrong shore. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Be a great way to lure you in, right? Yeah. I had a feeling. I was like, I feel like it's not gonna be, it's not gonna actually be his wife, fiance, and like opposite shore, right? A lot of imagery of shores being like into like the afterlife or whatever. You go into the water and then like the opposite shore is wherever like the next life is. And he was like being pulled in the wrong direction. A long time. Oh, a month. Wow, that's a long time to be lost in the fog. Did we get at least some kind of closure? You like kind of spoke to your wife. Oh, did it finally wash ashore? Uh, it's closure, at least the closest you can get, right? It's at least finding an end to it, knowing. Finding a new life. Ooh, heavy. A gorgeous episode, as per usual with this series. And I was just thinking about how we have the mushi of the sea and the mushi of the mountains, and it's like these two sides coming back together. Very symbolic of what Shiro and his wife, of one in the water and one on the shore, and them needing to reunite again to be like one whole, right? So I think that's just like a really beautiful image throughout this episode, but also this idea again of being stuck in a liminal space, and like literally the shoreline of him like sitting there looking out into the ocean and not turning behind to see the whole world and like this whole group of people who were like kind and willing to bring him into their lives and could have a happy life, not even noticing them because his attention was turned elsewhere. But like a literal liminal space for him, right, between the life that he thought he was going to have with his wife and the life that he has found himself in without her. And I think that is such a beautiful, I know, symbol of what grief is like, of losing somebody that you care about like that, someone who means so much to you, that it does feel that way for a little while. Even like the 3 years, right? Like it takes a long time to get to a point where you can find yourself able to look at your life and move on from it and bring new people into your life or make new plans. There are so many things that come with grief and losing someone, especially suddenly and tragically, and not having any semblance of closure with that, right? Like obviously closure is like a very loaded word, but when you have so many questions of like why and how, it can be really difficult to move on from that, especially when you lose someone suddenly, that it's this huge shock to the system. And how do you move on from that and figure it out, right? There's so much going back through the events and trying to figure out why that can hold you in that place. So I think that it's just a beautiful image of that as well. And even being able to have a remnants of who this person was wash up onto the shore. And it's like, you still get to keep those remnants of that person, right? You don't have the person themselves, but you have the memories, you have pieces of who they were that you carry with you into the next part of your life. And you just get to a point where you can make your peace with being around them. I know definitely for me, I have lost people suddenly, and even looking at pictures was a really difficult thing. Like I couldn't do it for a really long time. And then you get to a point where you can look back through pictures and videos and all of these things that you have in memory of that person, and you get to carry that with you in a way that you couldn't. Even like thinking of happy, wonderful memories with that person can be really difficult. But when you get to a point in your grief where you can settle a little bit more into what your life is now, you can look at those things and you can carry parts of that person with you as you continue forward. So I think it's just like a beautiful image of what it means to lose someone. And through this medium of Mushi and like this kind of whimsical fantasy world, but I think that it digs so much more into what that experience is like and figuring out what your life is after an event like that. It's just a beautiful series. Every episode, I'm just like more and more impressed with the storytelling and what the series is pulling off. But I hope you enjoyed watching that along with me. You can click this place to go into my previous reactions, or you can subscribe to me next time I post a Mushi-shi reaction. I will see you in the next video. Bye.